A lot of people know of the infamous video game Manhunt, released in 2003. It was highly controversial for the amount of gore and violence in it, and it was banned in many places. It was followed by an even more controversial sequel in 2007. What a lot of people don't know is the beta version of the game from 1999, the year production on the game began. Rockstar Games was just starting work on Grand Theft Auto 3, but had in mind another game, which at the time was called Blood Dance, a cheesy title which would later in production be renamed to Manhunt. A few years back, I worked at a GameStop a few minutes away from my apartment. I was really into video games and owned a lot of systems. One day, I was stacking some new games on the shelves when I came across a CD case with a simple label on it with Blood Dance Beta 1999. I didn't know where it had come from, so I ended up bringing it home with me later that day. When I got home, I decided to check out what the disc was. I put the disc into my computer. It was the PC version of the game, and it loaded up. The opening looked like the original opening. Looked a lot like the original opening. And the various gang members being shown at the end of the opening credits. The title showed the original, however. Instead of the white Manhunt logo, it was replaced by a red Blood Dance logo. This is where I knew right away that it was the Manhunt beta. The main menu came up. It looks completely different from the final version of the game. Instead of the original menu, it just came up with a simple menu: new game, options, and quit. I obviously picked new game. And it started up with a cutscene inside of the hospital, with the camera static. It then panned over to a dark hallway with the beta version of Pigsy, chainsaw in hand, walking down. Gameplay began. A box came up on the right side, giving the basic instructions. Kill. I messed around with the controls a bit. The arrow keys moved Pigsy, and the X key was the attack keys. Those were the only controls. The hospital was abandoned, except for the people lying in various hospital beds, so you can enter and kill them. After killing what seemed to be everyone in a dark hospital, the game quickly cut to another static scene, which then turned into the scene completed menu. Still nothing out of the ordinary yet. The loading screen came up and it said Deliverance. I was surprised, as Deliverance was the final level in the actual game. The gameplay just abruptly started, and was inside of a stock Weathers attic, the location of the original Deliverance level. Suddenly the game stopped. Fuck, I said out loud in disappointment. I went to bed after that, deciding just to try it tomorrow. That night, I had a nightmare that I was being chased by Pigsy. When I woke up, the abrupt minute I woke up, I could have sworn I heard a faint squeal of a pig. It was probably just my mind fucking with me, I said to myself. I looked over at the clock next to my bed. 4 a.m. I tried going back to sleep, but I couldn't. I had to play the game. Luckily for me, I didn't have to work the next day. I got up and went back to my computer. My apartment almost pitch black. I never bothered to turn on the lights. I started up the game, and this time the menu displayed a new option. Continue. Thank fucking God. I clicked it, and it resumed right where I was last time. The level was almost identical to the final version used in the actual game. However, the graphics were a little reduced. It was an earlier version. What else would you expect? The main objective was the same as last: kill. However, I couldn't find anything to actually kill. I almost shut the game off, but right when I did, a clan of straitjacket swearing creatures in smiley face hats came running towards me, so I killed them with a chainsaw as the game objective. The game shut off again. I got so frustrated with it, so I stopped playing with it. After a few days, I had forgotten about it, until a week later. I kept on waking up in the middle of the night at around 3:30 to 4 a.m., hearing the faint pig squealing, a chainsaw ripping into flesh, and what sounded like an infant crying. I thought I was going crazy. I kept hearing voices in my head repeating "kill" over and over again. Just like the objective of a game. I finally took the disc and snapped it right in half and threw it in the trash, hoping to never see it again. Everything went back to normal after that. I stopped waking up in the middle of the night to the sounds, and I stopped hearing voices. A few months went by, and I had completely forgotten about the game. It was now February 2007. I went to work on a pretty normal day. A friend of mine who also worked at the store and I were discussing games when we brought up that Manhunt 2 was coming out. When I got home, I looked up the game, and what do you know? A few days earlier, Rockstar Games had actually officially announced the sequel to Manhunt. It was then that I noticed the blood dance icon was still on my desktop. I clicked into my misfortune. The game started up again. I opened up the disc tray and to see the game that I had snapped right in half and threw away in the trash was in perfect condition, still sitting in my disc tray. The nightmares continue. To this day, I am still waking up at 4 a.m. to the horrible noises that have been haunting me for 5 years. I got a new computer a few years ago, but somehow the disc found its way back into my new computer. And no matter how many times I try getting rid of it, it keeps coming back. My life has seemed to change a lot now, and it's never going to be the same ever again.